Hey, this is Pradeep with Sensatura, and today I'm sharing my impressions of a new brand which just launched recently, and I've got samples of them here. It's called L'Anthropiste or the Entropist, which is supposed to be the brand of the legendary perfumer Bertrand Duchafour, who by no surprise happens to be one of my favorite perfumers, as is the case for many others. He has made some of the most acclaimed fragrances, be it his work at L'Arc Parfumeur, the likes of Timbuktu, or Jubilation, Chypre Palatin, Comme des Garçons Avignon, to name a few. I even found his work for a smaller brand like Nila Vermeer to be masterful. In recent years, maybe his creations have not gotten the same amount of attention, not quite at the same level. Still, some creations like Corpus Equus with Naomi Gutser and Jubilation 40 for Amouage have been really good. So I was interested to see what he would do with his own brand. Couple of renowned perfumers just launched their own brands after a long time in the industry. The other was Dominique Ropillon by the sponsorship of another brand. Unfortunately, that brand doesn't seem to be interesting, focusing on maybe one-note redundant scent profiles. I have heard mixed feedback. In spite of that, I would rather these perfumers enjoy the spotlight and get some business their way rather than big conglomerates, especially those who have been around for decades and don't have all the luxury of being in-house perfumers. Coming back to L'Anthropiste, the brand focuses on themes like chaos and mystery, oscillating between order and disorder. They are supposed to be intentionally disorienting, presented as complex and dynamic creations. It reminded me of my chemistry classes when entropy was one of the most romanticized words and concepts. They have launched with 6 fragrances. The scent profiles were not boring soliflores from the press release, so I was expecting something interesting going into these. Let's go over them one by one, and in the end I'll share the ones that stood out for me. First is Jodhpur at 6 am. The setting is supposed to be reaching the city of Jodhpur in India after a long journey by bus, having a chai in the morning and just taking in the atmosphere as the city comes to life. Obviously that made me curious. It starts off spicy, of course inspired by the spices you would find in a chai. There is this sweet, zingy opening from a combination of ginger and cardamom, a soft, creamy lactonic facet coming in with a touch of black tea. It starts off aromatic, but then the sharp edges are softened by this lactonic accord. What becomes dominant is this fleshy, endolic, waxy green tuberose. Certainly tuberose is known to have a creamy dimension, so it kind of blends together with the lactonic accord of the chai in this quirky fashion. What throws the scent for a curveball is this unexpected sour fruitiness. I guess it's supposed to represent the fruit vendors as part of the setting. I'm getting this ylang ylang type of musky, human skin, kind of sweaty facet, which might as well be the tuberose. It's a soft, floral, smooth, warm, buttery scent. Duchafour is notable for creating strong narratives with his fragrances. It feels like he has tried something along similar lines here, maybe not quite at his best level. Also, tuberose is not something I'm a huge fan of, but still it's quite nice. Next is Semence Douce. Semence can translate to seeds, but I guess here the name is more figurative, implying a gentle beginning of sorts, and it is a gentle fragrance as the name states, douce. I like that Duchafour did not align himself into what people would generally expect from him. You know, those heavy incense, amber orientals and gourmands. There is just 2 in this collection which takes that route. This one opened quite savory and nutty. In fact, I was reminded of rice and those healthy nut mix snack sachets. Turns out there's an almond milk accord in here. There is this saffron aroma blended into it. It's a very soothing, gentle opening, after which it turns floral. I just couldn't figure out what flower it was. Turns out it's tulip, which I don't think I have smelled in a lot of fragrances, except Traversée du Bosphore from L'Arc Parfumeur, also made by Duchafour, but that goes in the more fruity, sweet leather direction. Here the overall scent is fresh, blanched, soft and floral, with this green, sappy, sticky tonality coming through later. It is easily the most interesting one from this collection. Only thing I wished it did differently is the way it becomes a bit plasticky almost with the saffron. Tom of Finland from Eta Libre d'Orange does something similar, which I'm not a fan of. But otherwise, it's a very nicely done, simple, unique, savory, soft floral fragrance. Next up is Blanc Sada. This one is a soft, powdery iris, which is right up my alley, being a fan of the Chanel lace exclusives and such. This one seems to be Japanese inspired instead of the French high fashion styling. The setting is of a woman, a geisha in her attire, wearing this white powder on her face and red lipstick, and laying down on this traditional mat filled with passion. It's very much in the bracket of something like Fleur de Peau from Diptyque. In the opening, I also immediately thought it reminds me of the previous one, Semence Douce. It seems to take that savory, calming, rice powder, milky, musky facets and adds this iris accord. The green woody facets are also here, except it's more dry and powdery, possibly from this straw accord. Apparently this white rice powder makeup was created so the faces of these women can be seen when they entertain, at times when there was no electricity. So it has that kind of luminosity to it. The styling here reminded me of fragrances Duchafour did for Himo Jumeau, which are these soft, serene, ethereal creations, settles down to clean, makeup-y white musks, a nicely done powdery scent. Here I'll quickly mention one that I did not get a sample of because it was out of stock. It's called Dawn Whispers. From the blurb, it looks like it will go in the similar direction of Blanc Sada and Semence Douce. Sounds like it's an all-out, misty, early morning, white hotel treat, sort of cool, sheer white masks. I'll probably try it at a later stage. Something strange happened on the website. Initially, it was supposed to be a sample set with all 6 fragrances, but then it was changed to choose your own 3 samples, which quickly added up to a higher price. Not sure why they did that. At least there's the possibility to get the amount deducted if one decides to buy a full bottle. Nonetheless, let's move on to the 5th fragrance. This is Altamura. These last 2 fragrances are very much what one would expect from Duchafour. This is supposed to be a fruity, ozonic incense fragrance. There's a prominent orange in the opening, but this is not the usually fresh orange. Comes across like an orange liqueur with a touch of aldehydes of sorts, which then settles down to a familiar incense that we have come across in a lot of other fragrances before. First thought that came to me was, is that it? Because it feels inconsequential for a fragrance inspired by the cosmos. It's just this orange liquor plus incense. Doesn't do more than that for me. That by itself could still be nice, but the other reason why I was not taken with this is because there is some sort of aquatic, ozonic, mineralic, salty facet blended with the incense. It feels a bit fishy, like actually smells like seaweed. The same exact thing happened with the latest release from Rubini called Hyperion, which is a space themed scent with incense and aldehydes, which is then completely ruined by this fishy, algae, seaweed accord. Though this is not that worst, still not for me sadly. Alright, last is Dorian's Spleen, which is based on a man overtaken by melancholy, spending the days immersing himself in alcohol at night and coffee in the morning with the permanence of cigarettes. I mean, who doesn't want that? Not totally sure if it's a reference to Dorian Gray from Oscar Wilde's novel. Let me get it out of the way. This is the easily appealing one from the 6, though it has its own edge with a bold scent profile. If this brand takes off, I can see this being the bestseller and people making videos of how delicious and addictive this smells. It is a semi-gourmand. It's got this combination of brulee caramel and acidic coffee. Mixed with that is this boozy, peaty, alcoholic splash of whiskey. There's a lot of smoky, ashy, tobacco, cacao-like facets. It's rich, dense, woody and ambery. Reminded me of his Le Bon Douche from Le Bon Gerbois. There is this rugged, stoic, unapologetic character to it. Thankfully, it does not go too sweet or into the woody amber's direction. What clicked into my mind was that this would be a better fit for the scent of Dior's latest privé, Bois Talisman. Overall, I have quite enjoyed testing these. I like that he tried to take a simpler, intimate approach with some of these creations, instead of going in the 15-20 notes integrated kaleidoscopic direction. Also avoided the boring case of doing a rose, a tobacco, a leather, which we have seen over and over again. Comes across like they have used decent quality materials. Pricing is on the higher side, almost 300 euros for 100 ml, which I guess is becoming normal these days for a niche fragrance. I like that there is some care shown toward aligning the brand's approach with the scents, in that these themes of disorder do come through here and there. Even the bottles are not straight and have a slant, which I thought was a nice touch. The ones that stood out to me the most are Blanc Sada and Dorian Spleen, which are scent profiles that I usually like. The one that was the most interesting was Semence Douce, though it was almost too soft for its own good. One thing that was odd, just an hour after the launch, they started sharing videos of random influencers who are not even in the fragrance circle unboxing their PR packages. Sure, it's part of the fragrance business these days, but not sure why that's the first thing they did, instead of maybe clips of the man himself presenting the brand and introducing his fragrances. So don't be surprised if a lot of videos start popping up about the brand in the next couple of months. Not sure if these are influencer friendly fragrances, but it is what it is. I think it's an adequate start for the brand. I don't think I'll be immediately buying any of these, especially for the price, but I do hope to continue testing them. Amongst the recent Perfumer launched brands like LRK, Mise en Cire, Matière Première, Accro and such, I think I much prefer this brand. I went in with an open mind, so I was able to appreciate some of these for what they are. If someone goes in expecting a Jubilation or Chypre Palata, then they are going to be disappointed. I'll be interested to see how the brand does, both critically and commercially, and what they would do next. Either way, that's been my thoughts on the new brand of L'Anthropiste. Thanks for watching, take care, and ciao.